the stand that stopped the skies. Marla Thompson's finger hovered over the button on her laptop, her tailored blazer a stark contrast to the cramped economy seat she'd been forced into hours earlier. The flight attendant who'd dismissed her first-class ticket with a smirk was now bustling down the aisle, oblivious to the storm about to break. One click, and 4 major airports would grind to a halt. Marla's lips curved into a determined smile as she pressed the key, setting in motion a chain of events that would shake an industry to its core. This wasn't just about a seat, it was about dignity, power, and the cost of prejudice. Marla Thompson, 38, stood in her sleek Chicago penthouse, the morning sun glinting off Lake Michigan. As the CEO of SkyTech Innovations, she'd built a tech empire with her groundbreaking software, SkySync, which powered 70% of North America's commercial flights. Her journey from a South Side childhood, raised by a single mother juggling 3 jobs, to the top of the aviation tech world was nothing short of extraordinary. At 12, a summer coding camp had sparked her passion for technology, leading her to MIT and a career defined by breaking barriers as a Black woman in a white, male-dominated field. Today, Marla was preparing for a pivotal meeting with global investors in New York. A successful deal could double SkyTech's valuation and expand SkySync to Europe and Asia. "The presentation's ready," she told her assistant, Lena, over the phone, smoothing her navy suit. Her mentor, Dr. Clara Jenkins, called to offer encouragement. "The higher you climb, the more they'll try to remind you where they think you belong," Clara warned. Marla nodded, her resolve hardening. She'd faced skepticism and subtle slights her entire career. Today would be no different. As her driver pulled up to O'Hare International Airport, an email from Edward Carson, COO of Horizon Systems, a rival firm, buzzed on her phone. His congratulatory note about her upcoming deal dripped with condescension. "Hope the global stage isn't too much for your little team." Marla deleted it, recognizing Edward's attempt to undermine her. Horizon had been losing ground to SkyTech for years, and Edward, a legacy executive with family ties, resented her success. At O'Hare's premium check-in counter, Marla presented her first-class ticket to LaGuardia. The agent, Brian Carter, glanced at her ID, then her face, his smile fading. "First class?" he asked, his tone laced with doubt. Marla nodded, showing her digital boarding pass. Brian squinted at it, muttering, "There's a discrepancy." He called his supervisor, Karen Walsh, who claimed a system error, had booked Marla in economy. "That's impossible," Marla said firmly. "I booked this ticket 3 weeks ago, seat 2A, and was charged for first class." Karen's smile was patronizing. "These glitches happen. First class is full, but we can offer you economy or a later flight." Marla noticed a white businessman checked in for first class in seconds nearby, no questions asked. Her chest tightened. This wasn't a glitch, it was discrimination. With her investor meeting looming, she couldn't risk missing the flight. "I'll need your names for my records," she said, snapping photos of their badges. Karen's smirk faltered, but she waved Marla off. Boarding the plane, Marla squeezed into economy seat 32B, her knees pressed against the seat in front. The flight attendant, Emily Harris, avoided her gaze, refusing Marla's request for water while offering it to a white passenger nearby. Overhearing Emily whisper to a colleague, "These people think they own the place," Marla's anger crystallized. "These people." The words echoed every time she'd been mistaken for a secretary, interrupted in meetings, or stopped by security in executive suites. She'd always risen above, working twice as hard to prove her worth. But today something snapped. Connecting to the in-flight Wi-Fi, Marla emailed her team, documenting the incident. Her research head replied within minutes. Atlantic Airlines had a pattern of targeting Black first-class passengers with excessive verification and subpar service. 27 executives had reported similar experiences in the past 18 months. Marla's resolve hardened. This wasn't just about her, it was systemic. She added her legal counsel, Marcus Tate, to the email, instructing him to prepare evidence and contact others who'd faced the same treatment. As the plane landed at LaGuardia, Marla's mind raced. In her hotel suite, Marcus met her with a plan. "A lawsuit might win you a settlement," he said, "but it won't change their culture. SkySync is their backbone. Use that leverage." Marla nodded, recalling how airline executives had doubted her software until a white investor vouched for it. "We need irrefutable proof," she said. Marcus had already requested O'Hare's security footage and identified 27 black executives with similar stories. They also uncovered Edward Carson's lunch with Atlantic's CEO, hinting at a plot to undermine Skytech's contract. Marla sent a formal complaint to Atlantic's CEO, William Harper, demanding accountability, termination of Brian and Karen, a public acknowledgement of the discrimination pattern, and company-wide anti-bias training. The response was a dismissive call from customer relations, offering a travel voucher. "They think this will blow over," Marla told Marcus, her voice steady but furious. She texted her CTO, James Lee, to confirm SkySync's emergency diagnostic protocol was operational, a tool meant for safety, but legally usable at her discretion. At dawn, with no meaningful response from Atlantic, Marla made her choice. From her hotel suite, she activated the 30-minute diagnostic, freezing Atlantic's operations at O'Hare, LaGuardia, Atlanta, and Dallas-Fort Worth. Departure boards flashed delayed, gate agents scrambled, and 152 flights sat grounded. The financial toll climbed to $2.1 billion as Atlantic's stock plummeted. Social media erupted, with some linking the outage to a recent exposé by journalist Sarah Coleman on Atlantic's discriminatory practices. William Harper called, his voice shaking with rage. "This is sabotage, Thompson." Marla remained calm. "It's a scheduled diagnostic, per our contract. Perhaps if you'd read my email, we could have avoided this." She demanded a meeting with his board. "You've got 20 minutes left in this crisis," she said. "Make it happen." William relented, scheduling a meeting at Atlantic's headquarters. In the boardroom, Marla faced a tense group. William, his executives, FAA Representative Thomas Reed, and Homeland Security Agent Daniel Brooks. William accused her of holding their operations hostage. Marla countered with evidence: Sarah's report, affidavits from 27 executives, and internal emails instructing staff to verify black passengers more rigorously. "This isn't a misunderstanding," she said. "It's systemic bias." The room grew quieter when Marla revealed an email from Edward Carson to Atlantic's terminal manager, flagging her for special attention. William's face darkened. Edward had assured him it was just business competition. Marla turned to Agent Brooks. "Orchestrating discrimination to sabotage a critical infrastructure provider might interest Homeland Security." Edward stammered, his credibility crumbling. Marla laid out her demands: public acknowledgement, termination of Brian and Karen, anti-bias training, and a chief diversity officer with real authority. William scoffed, but with 152 flights grounded and losses mounting, the board's resolve weakened. "If you refuse," Marla said, "future diagnostics might require longer periods." The implied threat was clear. Atlantic couldn't function without SkySync. After heated debate, the board agreed. Brian and Karen were fired, a public statement was drafted, and Dr. Evelyn Ross, a renowned equity scholar, was hired as chief diversity officer. Edward Carson resigned amid a corporate sabotage probe. Marla walked out, leaving a room of executives who'd learned discrimination was bad for business. A month later, Marla watched CNN in her Chicago office. Atlantic's stock had rebounded after their anti-discrimination reforms, with Dr. Ross leading cultural change. Skytech launched the SkySync Aviator Scholarship, funding 20 minority students in aviation tech. SkySync now required anti-bias training for all Atlantic staff, with data monitoring to catch disparities. At O'Hare, Marla approached the premium check-in counter for a San Francisco flight. Emily Harris, the flight attendant from her infamous flight, was there, her face pale with recognition. "Miss Thompson, I'm sorry for how I treated you," Emily said, trembling. "The training opened my eyes." Marla studied her. "Awareness is a start, but actions matter. Treat every passenger with respect, no matter how they look." Emily nodded, handing Marla her first-class boarding pass. On the plane, the black female captain greeted Marla with a knowing smile. As they took off, Marla looked out at an Atlantic plane bearing their new slogan, "Everyone belongs in the sky." The $2.1 billion standoff had been worth it. She'd forced accountability, opened doors for others, and shown that dignity was non-negotiable. What do you think of Marla's stand? Was her bold move justified, or did she go too far by disrupting thousands of lives? Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever faced injustice and had to choose between silence and action? Tell us your stance on fighting systemic wrongs, even when it stirs controversy. Your voice matters.